Hello everyone, welcome to SSM Sharda Educations. So we are going to see the weekly current affairs of second week of July. So in that series, now we are going to discuss about some of the important polity current affairs. So we'll go into the topic. The first topic is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences POSCO Act. So this POXO Act has been becoming more important affair now in our country, especially when it comes to social justice. The children have been facing so much mental and physical trauma nowadays, and now because of this act many are being protected. So we'll go into the topic. The Delhi High Court has rejected the assertion that a minor Muslim girl who has attained the age of puberty would fall out of ambit of protection of children from Sexual Offences Act. So this POXO Act is irrespective of religion, irrespective of social status. It is same for any children, and according to that act, what is the definition of children is also very important. So what is the definition of children? So it was enacted to protect the children from offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment and pornography, with due regard for safeguarding the interest and well-being of children. So what is the definition? It defines that any person below 18 years of age and regards the best interest and welfare of child is the very important. So according to them, child is any person who is below the 18 years of age. This is very important. This has to be the definition whenever there is a question related to who can be mentioned as a child. Any person below the 18 years of age, irrespective of religion, sex, caste, birth, anything, they are below 18 years of age, then they come under the category of a child. Okay, yes. So healthy physical, emotional, intellectual and social development of child is the responsibility under this act. It defines different forms of sexual abuse. It includes both penetrative, non-penetrative assault as well as sexual harassment and pornography. Not just the penetrative assault, penetrative, non-penetrative, sexual harassment and pornography comes under the concept of sexual assault or sexual abuse under this act. So it deems a sexual assault to be aggravated under certain circumstances. Aggravated is more serious, much more serious, such as when the abused child is mentally ill or when the abuse is committed by a person in position of trust or authority, like a family member, police officer, teacher, doctor. When these persons are involved or that child is mentally ill, then it is considered as an aggravated form of assault. Okay, so the act stipulates that a case of child sexual abuse must be disposed of within 1 year. So there is a time limit too. There is a time limit too under which this particular sexual abuse case must be disposed within the date of offence is reported. Okay, yes. So next is, what is the role of police? So the act casts the police in the role of child protectors. So the police is here the child protector. That is why in that aggravated case, police were also included, because who is the protector here is the child protector here is the police during the investigative process. So the police personnel receiving a report of sexual abuse of a child are given the responsibility of making urgent arrangements for the care and protection of child. Just imagine a guardian is the one who's an assaulter here. So in that case, the child has to be immediately arranged and care under protection. So that is whose responsibility? The police responsibility, such as obtaining medical emergency treatment or placing the child in a shelter home. Bringing the matter in front of child welfare committee should be the important thing, and that responsibility is under the police. So what are the safeguards under this particular act? Let's see. It provides for special courts that conduct trial, speedy trial, and also trial in camera. That is, without revealing, say, except that victim and the accused and the police official, judge or judges, and then the respective lawyers. Okay, advocate and lawyers, they will be present in terms of this case. Why? It is to not reveal without revealing the identity of the child, this is taking place. Okay, so the protection of the child, the identity of the child has to be protected. Hence, the child have a parent or other trusted person present at the time of testifying and can call for assistance from an interpreter, special educator or other professional while giving the evidence. So, it is very, very important. The future of the child is very, very important. So, the identity is not revealed and trial in camera takes place. That is, no media person, no other person will be present. Only certain people allowed by the law will be present. Okay, next. POSCO Amendment Act of 2019. What is this? Very, very important. This can be a question. This act aims at making the offence against children general neutral. That is, whoever can be the accused, whoever can be the victim, but the law is same for all. That is what you call it as general neutral. It not just girl child has to be treated specially. No, any child, whether a girl or a boy or any child, then this act is same. The definition of sexual assault has been extended to incorporate administration of hormones or chemical substances to the children to attain early sexual maturity. That also comes under the concept of sexual assault. Okay, though there is no penetrating or non-penetrating or pornography or any kind of sexual physical assault is there, but when the hormones are administered or any chemical substances are administered to attain early sexual maturity for the purpose of penetrative sexual assault, then that also comes under the concept of sexual assault. It defines child pornography as any visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct involving the child, including photograph, video, digital or computer generated image indistinguishable from an actual child. So, these concepts will be very, very important when it comes to mains. Keep it in mind, children, mind people. This can be very, very important when it comes to mains. Okay, because when you are writing a mains answer, you should be very precise in what you are writing. The amendment also penalized the transmitting of pornographic material to children and purpose to synchronize it with the Information Technology Act. Okay, so it seeks to enhance punishment for sexual offences against children with the provision of death penalty. Okay, so this is also very important amendment. So they are bringing death penalty under this act. According to the amendment, who are committing penetrative sexual assault on a children below 16 years of age would be punished with imprisonment up to 20 years, which might extend to life imprisonment. So what they are doing, they are even increasing or they are even dividing the degree of offence. So in that case, when it is below 16, the child, the victim is below 16 years, then the imprisonment will be up to 20 years or even life imprisonment. Next is in the case of aggravated penetrative sexual assault, the act increases to minimum of 10 years up to 20 years and maximum of death penalty. Okay, and then to curb the child pornography, it provides for those who use a child for pornographic activity, the punishment up to 5 years and fine. However, there is a second or subsequent convention. So first time 5 years and fine. For the second time, it would be up to 7 years and fine. It also has sanctioned over 1,000 fast track courts for speedy disposal, because we know that the time limit is 1 year. Within 1 year, the case has to be disposed, the proper trial. So that speedy 1,000 fast track courts have been administered for this act. Okay. So going to the next topic, Director General of Civil Aviation. So what is this Director General of Civil Aviation is? On Wednesday have served a show cause notice on SpiceJet because they have had almost 8 mid-air incidents and an accident since May. For the past 3 months, they have had an 8 mid-air incident and an accident since May. So they have given a notice that they have poor internal safety oversight and they have to give proper reason all these for this. Okay, and one more thing is it was also because of the poor financial health of that particular air force, particular air service. About Director General of Civil Aviation, it's a statutory body. So Director General of Civil Aviation is a statutory body of Government of India to regulate civil aviation in India. So what they are dealing with is primarily with the safety issues. So headquarters is in New Delhi and the regional offices are present in the various parts. Okay, and the Director General of Civil Aviation is responsible for the regulation of air transport services to India or from India or within India, that is domestic or international, that is the meaning. Both domestic and international, the Director General of Civil Aviation is responsible for. Okay, air regulation, civil air regulation, air safety and airworthiness standards, everything comes under this Director General of Civil Aviation. Okay, so what are the functions? So their function include registration of civil aircraft. Okay, and then see, you can see that mostly they are about civil aviation. Okay, so Director General of Civil Aviation is towards civil aviation. From the name itself you can get this, because sometimes they will give a question, which are the following are the function of Director General of Civil Aviation, and in the question, in the option, they will give one something related to military also. Okay, so Air Force also, then it won't come, because the question itself, the statement itself has Director General of Civil Aviation, which means they only have hold on civil aviation. Okay, so they register civil aircraft and then standards of airworthiness of civil aircraft registered in India and grant the certificates of airworthiness. Airworthiness is whether they can fly as a civil aircraft. Do they have the, are they meeting the requirements? Are they having the specified standards? All these things has to be checked by this Director General. Licensing of pilots, aircraft maintenance engineers, flight engineers, conducting examinations and checks for those purposes, that also come under this Director General. Conducting an investigation into accidents, incidents and taking accident prevention measures also come under them. Safety aviation management programs also come under them. And then coordination at national level for flexi use of airspace by civil and military traffic agencies. See, this is very important. Only one place where you get military is when there is a clash between civil and military traffic. They maintain the civil and military air traffic. Okay, so their national level coordination is under this Director General. The interaction with ICAO for the provision of more air routes also come under them. Okay, International Civil Aviation Organization, that is ICAO, because they also take care of domestic and international flights. So they have to have a national level coordination and also international level coordination. Okay, fine. Promoting indigenous design and manufacture of aircraft and aircraft components by acting as a catalytic agent is also under their control. Okay, very, very important. So I'm repeating the function: registration, and then a registration of aircraft, and is the aircraft airworthy, and then they also check about the pilots, aircraft maintenance engineers, flight engineers, and conducting examinations for them is also under them. And licensing air traffic controllers are also under them. They also coordinate between the traffic management for both civil and military and also international civil agency organizations. Okay, all these things are also coming under their control. Next topic. Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam. So what is this? So the Prime Minister has inaugurated a 3-day Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samagam on implementation of the National Education Policy in Varanasi. So this was attended over by 300 academic, administrative and institutional leaders. He said that the policy would help develop all human resources necessary for the country's progress. Of course, education is one of the most important thing for a country to become a developed nation. In that case, this national education policy is one of the important milestone. So what is about this Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Samaham? So the name itself is giving us the meaning. Akhil means universal, Bharatiya India, Shiksha is education, Samaham is a meeting. So let's see this. The Samaham is being organized by the Education Ministry. Of course, we know who will organize. It will be the Education Ministry in association with University Grants Commission and Banaras Hindu University. Okay, so it's a 3-day event which brought over 300 vice chancellors and directors from public and private universities educationists, policy makers, and also industry representatives. Fine. The summit will provide a platform for leading Indian higher educational institutions to discuss, deliberate, and share insights on strategies, success stories, and best practices after the implementation of National Education Policy 2020. What is the key highlight is that the adoption of Varanasi Declaration on Higher Educations, which will showcase India's extended vision and renewed commitment to help achieve goals of higher education system. See, National Education Policy 2020 is very important. You will definitely get either in prelims or in mains. Okay, so there are videos where we have discussed about National Education Policy, very, very important. Okay, so major provision of National Education Policy 2020 we'll discuss now. So we will first discuss about school education. Universalization of education by 2020 through 100% gross enrollment ratio from primary to secondary. This is first and most important. Open schooling system, that is no admission requires, and NIOS is one of the important example for that. That is out of school children. Fine. There is a curriculum change where 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 instead of 10 plus 2. Now we have 10 plus 2 system. Instead we have a 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. What is that? 3 to 8 years. That is the first 5 years is you have preschool education. Okay. Next is the next 3 years. That is 3rd to 5th standard. This is 5, 3, 3, 4. So 5, 3, 3, 4 is this mode. That is 3rd standard. First is 3 years to preschool, 1st and 2nd standard. Then 3rd to 5th standard, 6th to 8th standard, and 9th to 12th standard are coming in a different concept. Initially it was 10 plus 2 system. That's what we called as plus 2. Okay. Focus on foundational literacy, numeracy, extracurriculars, vocational education, and multidisciplinary approach to art, science, commerce in high school. Instead of just going towards same path, it is a diversified and a more interactive manner. Vocational education starts from class 6 itself with internship, and curriculum will include 21st century skills like coding also. Okay, coding and different vocational groups will be present. Teaching in mother tongue up to 5 classes with no imposition of any language is also present. 360-degree holistic approach, progress card for tracking learning outcomes, not just the education, it also includes other value added values, and then physical education, everything comes under this. Teachers education is also there. 4-year B.Ed qualification is mandatory from 2030 for teachers, and national curriculum framework for teacher education 2021 to be formulated now. So they only will frame the teachers curriculum education, and that is what is going to be the syllabus in this 4-year B.Ed qualification. Next, coming to the higher education, gross enrollment ratio to be raised to 50% by 2035. Broad-based, multidisciplinary, holistic UG graduate education and provision for flexible curriculum. There is something called as curriculum credit, academic credits. That is, every year will have a credit so that you can discontinue and then join again. That is a special thing having that is here. Okay, academic bank of credits to enable transfer of credits between institutions. So I'm in one college, I'm studying for 2 years. Now I have a credit. Instead of having the complete UG degree, I have a credit. So I can go to another college and continue from 3rd year. Instead of joining the 1st year, I can continue from 3rd year. That is this academic bank of credits. Multidisciplinary education and research university is also going to be formed. National Research Foundation, an apex body for research capacity building, has to be formed. Higher Education Commission of India, an umbrella regulator, and for both legal and medical education is also, except for legal and medical education, has to be formed. National Higher Education Regulatory Council, General Education Council, Higher Education Grants Council, National Accreditation Council. These are all to be formed for regulation, standard setting, funding and accreditation respectively. Phasing out affiliation system in 15 years and granted autonomy to colleges will be provided as per the stage-wise mechanism. Autonomous colleges are graded. and based on the stage wise mechanism only they are given autonomy status. Next is Mission Vatsalaya. What is this? The Women and Child Development Ministry released the guidelines in order to access central funds and benefits under Mission Vatsalaya. What is this Vatsalaya? It's an umbrella scheme for child protection services in the country. Okay, so it's an umbrella scheme for child protection services in the country, and the objective of the mission Vatsalaya is to secure a healthy and happy childhood for each and every child in the country. Okay, so that is very important. Healthy and happy childhood for each and every child in the country is very important. It promotes family based non-institutional care of children in difficult circumstances based on the principle of institutionalization of children as a measure of last resort. So first what they do, they help to have a non-institutional care of children, that is, like a family based system. In worst case scenario, they will be taken to institutions. Okay, so it will be implemented as a centrally sponsored scheme. Centrally sponsored scheme, this is very important. Central sector scheme means 100% under central government. Centrally sponsored scheme means they provide a part of fund. Central will provide a part of fund and state will provide the remaining. So 60% is under the government and 40% is under the state government. But for 8 states in the northeast as well as Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, it will be 90 by the center and 10 by the state. The central will cover the whole cost in the union territories without a legislature. So we have Pondicherry and Pondicherry you have, and National Capital Territory you have legislatures, so that will not come under this 100% coverage, but the other union territories will come under the 100% coverage. Okay, next, Mission Vatsalaya is a partnership with states and districts which have a 24/7 helpline system. Okay, this comes under Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. This is very important, under which it is defined as Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. So what are the components? Improving the function of statutory body, strengthen the service delivery structures, upscale institutional care and services, encourage non-institutional community-based care, emergency outreach services, and training and capacity building. You can see these are all one of the important concept of good governance. You are improving the service under child protection. That is what is Mission Vatsalaya. New guidelines. The guidelines elaborate on the vision of Vatsalaya Sadan with a specific focus on juveniles in conflict with law. Very important. Juveniles in conflicts with law. It's an integrated home complex of child care institutions, home observations, and then special home place of safety. All these things come under this. The Juvenile Justice Board and Child Welfare Committee is also located within the same premises. So new guidelines include, first, they are promoting family-based non-institutional care in difficult situations, as well as establishment of cradle baby reception centers for receiving abandoned babies vulnerable to trafficking. Okay, so sometimes the babies are abandoned by the parents due to various reasons. Those children sometimes are trafficked, those babies are sometimes trafficked and then sold for various purposes as a labor or for sexual offences, everything. Cradle baby reception centers will be fully equipped to take care of infants in at least one specialized adoption agency per district. Their objective will be to rescue the abandoned children and look after them till they are adopted. So what is the ultimate aim? They have to be adopted. The guidelines make no mention of existing helpline number 1098 childline or its future. See, very important concept is in India, not just in India. In many countries, the adoption is not accepted widely. Many parents are even ready to be without children, but instead they are not ready to adopt a child who needs a parent. So adoption will help in a mass impact to our country, both in terms of population control and also in terms of avoiding children, offences against children, and also prevention of trafficking. Okay, so there are many people who need children and there are many children who need parents. So this adoption will definitely help both the lives, not just the child's life or the parent's life, it helps both the lives. The guidelines, however, state that Mission Vatsalya, in collaboration with the states and districts, will implement 24/7 helpline service for children, and this will be integrated with Ministry of Home Affairs. This helpline will be integrated with Ministry of Home Affairs. And they have an emergency response support system, ERSS 112 helpline. The new guidelines define the role of district magistrate who will be responsible for ensuring the execution of mission at district level. District magistrate is mostly collector. District collector. Okay? Yes. Next topic. KHADC, to invite talks on instrument of accession. What is this? A tribal council in Meghalaya called for a meeting of traditional heads to revisit the instrument of accession, which made the Khasi domain a part of Indian Union 7 decades ago. So 7 decades is 70 years ago. The Khasi domains has become a part of Indian Union. Now a tribal council in Meghalaya has called for a meeting of traditional heads to revisit this instrument of accession. They want to go as a separate country. That is what it means. About this KHADC, it's an autonomous district council in the state of Meghalaya in India. It's one of the 3 autonomous district council within Meghalaya and one of 25 autonomous regions in India. We have 25 autonomous regions in India. In that, Meghalaya has 3 district council and one of that district council is this KHADC. Okay. So Meghalaya is divided into 3 regions, Khasi, Garo, Jaintia. In this Khasi district council is what is this KHADC. The Khasi Hills straddle 25 himas or states that form the Federation of Khasi states. So now they want to go out of the Indian Union. Okay, we'll see why. What is the instrument of accession? It is a legal document first introduced in the Government of India Act of 1935. Again in 1947, it was enabled to each of the rulers of princely states under British paramountcy to join one of the India's new dominions or Pakistan. They can join anything and few chose to join India. And one of those are this Khasi District Council. The instrument of accession provided the center to be empowered to make laws relating to defense, foreign affairs and communications of Jammu and Kashmir only. The rest of the issue will be looked after by the state itself. That is why they are called as autonomous council. I am repeating. So according to this instrument of accession, the center will have the power to make laws relating to defense, foreign affairs and defense and foreign affairs and communication of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. So this other things will be looked after by the states itself through the autonomous councils. What is this autonomous district council? It is in the 6th schedule of Indian Constitution, which allows the formation of autonomous administrative divisions which give them autonomy with respect to the states. Most of this autonomous district council is located in the northeast India, except 2 in Ladakh and 1 in West Bengal. Presently, 10 autonomous councils are there in Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura are formed by 6th schedule, with rest being formed as a result of other legislations. So, according to 6th schedule, 10 councils are formed, which are in Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura, in which Meghalaya is having 3. Okay, so next. So this is very important, 6th schedule, and there is a very big issue going on about these tribal councils demanding separate country. Okay, so next, Gati Shakti scheme. What is this Gati Shakti scheme? Recently, a meeting between the Prime Minister and State Chief Secretary of all state governments agreed to support this Gati Shakti scheme. What is this Gati Shakti scheme? On the 75th Independence Day, there is a master plan launched called as Gati Shakti Master Plan of 100 lakh crore project for developing holistic infrastructure. That is what is this Gati Shakti scheme. Okay. This holistic infrastructure includes various other schemes like Bharatmala, Saharmala, inland waterways, dry land ports, Udan, etc. So it includes in all kinds of traffics. It can be roads, it can be ports and ports related roads, and then inland waterways, dry or land ports, and then Udan scheme is airways, everything comes under this. They also talk about economic zones like textile clusters, pharmaceutical clusters, defense corridors, electronic parks, industrial corridors, fishing clusters, and agri zones also will be covered to improve connectivity and make Indian business more competitive. Okay, so we are talking about a holistic. Holistic means everything, 360-degree for infrastructure. It can be for both industries and manufacturers, transport, everything comes under this. It will also leverage technology extensively, including spatial planning tools with ISRO imaging developed by Bhaskaracharya National Institute for Space. Okay, so that also comes under this concept. Next. 6 pillars of the plan. So what are the 6 pillars of the plan? Comprehensiveness. So it will include all the existing and planned initiative of various ministries and departments with one centralized portal. So they have one centralized portal and every department will have a visibility of each other. So one centralized portal is there is a portal where every department can come in and go and check what is happening. So it will improve the visibility. Once the transparency is improved, what happened, there will be a good competition. And critical data while planning, sharing the critical data and executing projects will also be very, very helpful. And then comes this prioritization. Through this, different departments will be able to prioritize their project to the cross-sectoral interaction. So there will be a scheme. So which department's scheme is very important now? What is the priority? Then that will be implemented first. So this kind of cross interaction will take place to form a more effective form of implementation of project. Next comes the optimization. So National Master Plan will help the different ministries in planning the project for by identifying the critical gaps. Okay, finding the critical gaps, and based on that a plan will be formed and implemented. And also for the transportation of goods from one place to another, this will help in selecting the optimum routes based on the time and cost, whether it is based on inland waterway or it is based on air transport. So inland waterway is possible only where there is an inland water route. You cannot use that for everything. Though it is of less cost, that cannot be used everywhere. So in a different location, based on the situation, what is the optimal route will be considered and that will be used. So how do you consider it is based on time and cost. Okay, based on this, the balance between the time and cost will take place. Okay, next we have synchronization. Individual ministries and departments will work in silos. They will have a synchronization. They have a different layer of governance, ensuring the coordination of work between them. Okay. Next is analytical. The plan will provide entire data on one place with GIS, Global Information System based spatial planning, which are having 200 plus layers, enabling them to be visible to executing agencies, and it will be very dynamic also. That is, all ministries involved, it will be very dynamic. It will be very easy to visualize cross-sectoral projects. That is, one project, for example, will include both land and water. So let's take Sagarmala project. It will include roadways, railways, and the ports connecting from the production and the coastal places. So here you have an interlinking of different departments and ministries. In that case, this platform will help them a dynamic coordination. Okay, so that is very, very important. Next is, what is the significance of this Gati Shakti program is that the center support in creating an institutional framework in a time-bound manner and implementing of projects under PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan for multimodal connectivity will give a boost to overall infrastructure of a country. It will provide the public and business community, information regarding the upcoming connectivity projects, other business hubs, industrial areas and surrounding environment. So this will simply, it will help the people to have a better standards of life, because when the economic growth take place, it will definitely help in development also. It will also help the investors to plan accordingly for their business in the suitable locations. So their business will boom in which place will be based on this infrastructure program. Endeavor to build next generation infrastructure which improves ease of living and ease of doing business. So obviously ease of doing business will improve. Okay. Next is multimodal connectivity between movement of people, goods and services will take place. So the distance will get reduced between from one place to another place because of a different mode of transport available, and also the logistic cost and improving the supply chain will take place. The reduction of logistic cost will take place. So obviously when the logistic cost is reduced, the price of the product will also get reduced eventually. Besides cutting logistic costs, the scheme is also aimed at increasing cargo handling capacity and focused on stepping up public capital expenditure to invigorate the virtuous cycle of investment. They help in developing the cycle of investment and foster employment generation. Obviously, when there is a land, when there is a proper entrepreneur, and when there is a capital, there is a need of labor. In that case, employment will be generated. Okay, next. So the next topic is legal and constitutional framework to deal with split in political party. So after a majority of Shiv Sena MLAs defected to form a government with the BJP in Maharashtra, the parliamentary group is going to see a rebellion with 14 of its 90 Lok Sabha members likely to ask Speaker Om Birla for recognition as a separate group. So what is the legal and constitutional framework when it comes to the split of party? There is a legal and constitutional framework to deal with when a party splinters and the rival faction assert themselves as a recognized political party. What is that? According to Article 324 of Constitution, provides that the superintendent's direction and control of election is vested in the Election Commission. And conduct of election rules of 1961, Rule 5 specifies that the Commission shall specify the symbol that may be chosen by candidates at election in the parliamentary or assembly constituency and the restriction to which their choice will subject. So choice and allotment of symbol is the election symbols. Reservation and allotment order 1968 provides for the choice and allotment of symbol in parliamentary and assembly constituencies for recognition of political parties and matters connected. What is the power to recognize party from splinter group is that paragraph 15 of this order specifies that Commission has the power to recognize as a party from among the splinter groups of rival sections. So who has the power to recognize if a party is split is the Election Commission has the power to recognize the split party. Okay. So this is what is this legal and constitutional framework to deal with split in political party. If a political party is split, that political party can be recognized by the Election Commission according to Article 324. So according to Article 324 and Conduct of Election Rules of 1961, it is a decision of the Election Commission to decide whether the split party can be considered as a separate political party. Next, North Zonal Council. The Northern Zonal Council deliberated on the issues of internal security, road transport, industries, water, power, cybercrime and other subjects of common interest for 8 northern states and union territories at its 30th meeting held here on Saturday. So what is this? See, zonal council are the statutory, not constitutional bodies, very important. This is a very important concept. Zonal councils are the statutory body and not constitutional bodies. This will be a question asked. Okay, they are established by the Act of Parliament, which is nothing but the State Reorganization Act of 1956. Very important. The zonal councils are formed under the State Reorganization Act of 1956. This act divided the country into 5 zones: northern, central, eastern, western and southern. So what are the 5 zones is northern, we know four: north, east, south, east, west, north, south. And then you have one more zone extra, which is central zone. That is what it is called as northern, central, eastern, western, southern. Okay. So in additional to this above mentioned zone, there is also a Northeastern Council created by a separate act of parliament called as Northeast Council Act of 1971. So 5 zones are created by State Reorganization Act, and one more Northeastern Council is found by Northeast Council Act of 1971. This is very important. Okay. So who are all the members of Northeastern Council? Is Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Tripura and Sikkim. Okay. These are the advisory bodies that make recommendation to any matter of the common interest. So what is the organizational structure? The chairman, who is the chairman, is very important. Union Home Minister is the chairman of all these councils. You understand? Union Home Minister is the chairman of all these councils, and vice chairman will be in that zone. What are all the states? And the chief minister will be the vice chairman on a rotation basis. Okay, by rotation, each holding office for a period of 1 year at a time. So if there is northern zone and there is 10 states, so each chief minister will be the chairman of that particular vice chairman of the particular zone. Every 1 year it will be changing on a rotation basis. The members include chief ministers, 2 other ministers as nominated by the governor from each states, and 2 members from the union territories included in the zone. Advisors will be 1 person nominated by the planning commission, now which is Niti Aayog, for each zonal councils, and then chief secretaries and another officer development commissioner nominated by the each state including the zone. So I'm repeating, you have a chairman who is nothing but the union home minister for all these zones, and then we have vice chairman. So vice chairman is nothing but chief ministers of these states of respective zones on a rotation basis. And then you have who are all the members is nothing but we have chief ministers and other 2 ministers from each state, and that 2 ministers are recommended by or nominated by the governor. And then we also have 2 members from the union territories also. We have advisors. Who are those advisors? Is 1 person nominated by the planning commission are now called as Niti Aayog. And then we have chief secretaries and 1 officer recommended by the state. Okay, so this is what is the composition. Fine. Next is functions of the council. What is the functions of this council? This is to have a competition, healthy competition. First and foremost thing is healthy competition. So any matter of common interest in the field of economic and social planning, any matter concerning border dispute, linguistic minorities or interstate transport, any matter connected with or arising out of reorganization of state under the Reorganization Act. So first is field of economic and social planning, and then border disputes, linguistic minorities or interstate transport, any matter connected with arising out of reorganization of state, and the State Reorganization Act also comes under this. Next is Krishna's Rajasagar Dam. What is this Krishna Rajasagar Dam? Is continuing heavy rain in Karnataka's Kodagu and the entire catchment area of Kaveri and its tributaries has led to the increase in the rate of inflow into the reservoirs across the river. Krishna Raja Dam was built across the river Kaveri, the life-giving river for Mysore and Mandya district in 1924. Kaveri is also very important for Tamil Nadu and Karnataka also. So we know very well there has been a dispute going on between due to the water sharing between these 2 states also. Apart from being the main source of water for irrigation in most fertile Mysore and Mandya district, it is the main source of drinking water for all Mysore city and almost whole of Bangalore city, and which was the capital state of Karnataka. The water released from this dam is further used as an important source of water in the state of Tamil Nadu, which has its own Mettur Dam in the Salem district. The dam is named for then ruler of Mysore kingdom, Krishnaraja Vidayar IV. Okay. So the chief engineer, Sir M. Vishweswaraya, engineered the construction of the dam during the Vadayar King's regime in 1932. Okay. Next is Kaveri River. So what is the river rises in Brahmagiri hill of Western Ghats in the southwestern Karnataka. Okay, so drainage basin is, it flows southeasterly, that is it originates in Western Ghats and flows to Bay of Bengal. So through this path it is both in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Okay, so it flows southeasterly direction to the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu and descends the eastern Ghats in the series of great falls before emptying into the Bay of Bengal south of Kadalur, Tamil Nadu. The river breaks into a large number of distributaries, forming the delta called as the Garden of Southern India. Very important. The Garden of Southern India is nothing but the delta of river Kaveri. Garden of Southern India, delta of river Kaveri. Very, very important, because this river is one of the important source of livelihood for various various districts of both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. The tributaries tributaries and distributaries are two important concepts. I'm going to tell you now. What is a tributary? Tributaries, there is a river. What does tribute mean? Tribute is you give someone. So tributaries bring water into the main river. So this is the river. This is a river. So the bring water into the river is called as tributary. Distributaries take water from the river to different parts. They are distributaries. They distribute water out of the river. They give water into the river. They tribute water into the river. They distribute water out of the river. Keep this in mind. So tributaries and distributaries are very important concepts. So tributaries include Arkavati, Hemavati, Lakshmana Tirtha, Simsa, Kabini and Harangi. These are the tributaries of Kaveri river. Next comes New Drugs, Medical Devices and Cosmetics Bill of 2022. Union government has proposed this New Drugs, Medical Devices and Cosmetic Bills of 2022, and what are the major provision includes? It regulates e-pharmacies and medical devices. We know very well there are many e-pharmacies, Apollo Pharmacy, Pharmacy, so many e-pharmacies are there now. Even these medicines are now has door deliveries. They have certain drugs which are prescribed drugs, non-prescribed drugs, all these things are there. So let's see what is this. It regulates e-pharmacies and medical devices and provides for penalties including imprisonment for failing to pay compensation for injury or death during clinical trials for both drug and medical devices. For the first time, regulation for the conduct of clinical trials for the new drugs and medical devices have been brought under this draft new drugs. Very, very important. For the first time, regulation for conduct of clinical trials. See, after COVID-19 issue, there has been so many things related to this clinical trials has become as a question now. Before this COVID-19 issue, many did not know, many were not even aware about this clinical trials. But now people are aware about what are clinical trials, and the importance of proper clinical trials also is becoming more. Which seeks to replace the existing Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940. See, 1940 we had this act. Now it is definitely a time for updating it. The draft bill has a separate chapter for Ayush drugs which proposes to regulate Savarigba and homeopathy for the first time. The existing act regulates Ayurveda, Unani and Siddha drugs and cosmetics. Till now we don't have a proper regulation for these things. Now the regulations are also arising for them. In light of recommendation of central government, the felt need to have comprehensive legislation. A committee was constituted for framing the new drugs, cosmetics and medical devices bill. The draft bill introduces various new definitions like bioequivalence, bioavailability study, clinical trial, clinical investigation, controlling authority, manufacturer, medical device, new drugs, over-the-counter drugs, adulterated cosmetics, etc. These are all defined now in this bill. For what? For clarity and smooth functioning of implementation, because if any act is there, it has to be having a proper definition of different terms. Otherwise, it will be easy for a interpretation to bypass many regulation. Okay. Next is Drugs Technical Advisory Board and Medical Devices Technical Advisory Board. So, in the interest of public health and there is an extreme urgency for drugs, the central government is empowered to make the central licensing authority to waive the requirement of conducting clinical trials for manufacture or import of new drugs. So, what happens because of this waiving off of clinical trials? This clinical trial suffers injury and death on account of participation in such investigation. The provision have been made to provide compensation and medical management to such participants. Okay. See, informed consent is one of the important concept when it comes to clinical trial. What is informed consent? So, there is something called as consent certificate. For example, if there is a person who is going to involve in a clinical trial, the drug is going to be tested on that particular person, the person should give a consent form, that is, I am participating in this with a proper, I am participating with my decision only, there is no one influencing. This is a normal consent form. Informed consent is the person who is participating has to be informed about what are all the possible side effects, what are all the possible effects of that drug on that particular person's body. So, informed consent is very, very important when it comes to clinical trials. That is properly checked and regulated by this act. The penalties for offences related to import of drugs and cosmetics have been enhanced appropriately. It mentions where any person permitted under subsection 1 of section 72 fails to provide the required medical management or compensation under 73 shall be punishable with imprisonment, which may extend to 1 year, or with fine shall not be less than twice the amount of compensation. So, the person is in clinical trial and he or she is getting some injury or death, then that person has to be properly compensated. If compensation is not done properly, then the one who is responsible for the trial will be imprisoned to 1 year, and the compensation will be not less than twice the amount of compensation. Okay. Permission has to be taken to operate an e-pharmacy, and no person shall himself or by any other person on his behalf sell or stock, exhibit, for offer for sale or distribute any drug by online mode except under in accordance with the license or permission, which is simply means to have an e-pharmacy, to run an e-pharmacy, proper license must be needed. Without the proper license, any form of online selling of drugs is prohibited. Now you can see even Amazon has got e-pharmacy now. Initially Amazon did not have this e-pharmacy, now Amazon is also having e-pharmacy. Next comes PM Narendra Modi unveils national emblem on new parliament building. So this is an important question, especially art and culture question, because the first and foremost important thing when you study in the art and culture book will be national emblem. Okay, the Prime Minister has unveiled a 6.5-meter tall national emblem on the roof of the under construction parliament building in India. So, new parliament building is the new parliament building is built up of an area of about 60,000 square meter. Okay, so it is set to come on the plot number 118 of Parliament House Estate, which currently houses a reception, boundary walls, and other temporary structures. So, about this emblem, which is made of bronze, it weighs 9,500 kg, almost 9.5 tons, and a steel structure of 6.5 tons was made to support the weight of the emblem. The state emblem is an adoption of Sarnath Lyell capital of Ashoka. It is one of the important capital in a pillar of Ashoka. Okay. So, the central foyer has been renamed the Constitutional Hall. A library will also come up into the central foyer. It will have sculptures of parliamentarians and images representing the diversity of India. At one side of Constitution Hall will be Constitution Gallery, where the Constitution will be displayed. Okay. So, in the Parliament they are going to display Constitution. The triangular complex is designed to include 120 offices with 6 separate entrances for MPs and VIPs, including the Speaker and the Vice President. What is the state emblem of India? The national emblem is an adoption of lion capital originally found atop the Ashoka column established in 250 BC. This can be a question. 250 BC is the timeline. It has 4 lions. So in our emblem we have 3 lions facing front and 1 lion facing backward. Okay. So 4 Asiatic lions symbolizing power, courage, pride and confidence seated on a circular abacus. On that circular abacus we have bull, horse, lion and elephant. These can be questioned. The national emblems have 3 lions visible and the abacus show bull and horse separated by Dharma Chakra. Because Dharma Chakra is what? First sermon of Buddha, Dharma Chakra Pravartana. The outlines of 2 more Dharma Chakras are visible on the either side of abacus. While the Buddhist interpretations say that the animals represent different phases of Buddha's life, non-religious interpretations say they depict reign of Emperor Ashoka in 4 geographical directions. See, just see this: a bull, a horse, a lion and an elephant. So these are the 4 life feature of Buddha. Elephant depicts birth, and then horse depicts him coming from the him coming into the sentence, all these things. But non Buddhist interpretation is this says that Ashoka's control over all the 4 geographical direction, north, east, south, west. Okay, yes. The capital was adopted as a national emblem on January 26, 1950. It was chosen as a symbol of contemporary India's reaffirmation of its ancient commitment to the world peace and goodwill. So it is like a connection to ancient commitment and the contemporary reaffirmation. That is the very good thing related to this national emblem. Very important, this can be a question. New guidelines to prevent unfair trade practices. The Central Consumer Protection Authority announced 5 guidelines to prevent unfair trade practices and to protect consumer interest regarding the levy of service charges in hotel and restaurants. We saw about this in the last topic also. Recently the service charge has been cancelled. Any form of service charges should not be collected. At least voluntary service charge can be collected, not the compulsory service charge. That is a very, very important thing. What is a service charge? It's a charge is a tip or direct transaction between the customer and restaurant staff, specifically the wait staff. Okay, there is no compulsion that there is no compulsion that service charge has to be collected. Any form of service charge is prohibited now. So what are the redressal mechanism also we saw? There are 4 layers of redressal mechanism. First is you can talk with the that restaurant itself saying that that should not be collected. Next you also have a national consumer helpline. Next you can go even to the district collector. So these are all the stages of this service charge related issues. Next topic is Parliamentary Committee opposes mediation bill. What is this Parliamentary Committee and mediation bill? The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law and Justice has recommended changes to the mediation bill. What is mediation bill? It's a voluntary dispute resolution process. That is, instead of going to the court, the 2 parties can sit and discuss voluntarily to solve the dispute. So this will reduce the burden on the courts. It's an informal, confidential, flexible and non-binding process. It's not like compulsory, it has to be followed. They can sit and talk, and if they are not okay with the outcome, they can go to court again. Okay, so this is the thing. It is an informal, confidential, flexible and non-binding process in which an impartial person called a mediator will help the parties to understand the interest of everyone and their practical and legal choices. The bill requires persons to try to settle civil or commercial disputes through mediation, not the criminal cases. Only civil or commercial disputes can be done through this process. Agreements resulting from mediation will be binding and enforceable in the same manner as the court or judgments. Key features of the bill. First is the parties must attempt to settle civil or commercial disputes by mediation. First, the parties should accept. Number 1. Parties should accept, number one, even if they fail to reach a settlement through pre-litigation, the court or tribunal may be referred at any stage. And they also contain the list of disputes which will not fit for the mediation. What are those? First is relating to claims against minors or person of unsound mind. This is my son, daughter, those things. Involving criminal prosecution, I told you criminal cases will not come under mediation. Affecting the rights of third parties, two parties are there, okay, but this will impact a third party. That will not come under mediation, because when a third party is involved, you cannot take that into mediation. Only a court can settle that case. So I'm repeating, first is relating to claims against minors or person of unsound mind. Second is criminal cases will not come under this, and when it is affecting the rights of third parties, that also will not come under mediation. So next is, this list can be amended by central government. It will also apply to mediations conducted in India involving only domestic parties, involving at least one foreign party, and relating to commercial dispute. Even international mediation come under this. This will be confidential and may extend by 180 days by the party. It has to be completed within 180 days, may be extended by another 180 days by the parties involved. A party may withdraw from mediation after 2 sessions. That is also possible. Court annexed mediation must be conducted as per the rules framed by the Supreme Court or High Courts. So, even the court can do mediation only under the guidance of Supreme Court or High Court, and mediators may be appointed. Who will appoint the mediators is parties by agreement, a mediation service provider. It can be an institution administering mediation. They must disclose any conflict of interest that may arise doubts on their independence, and parties can even choose to replace a mediator. Okay, so there are two people who are having issues, civil or commercial issues, and they can go through a mediated process, before, that is a pre-litigation process without going to the court. And one more thing is, there are certain cases which will not come under this process, like criminal cases, claims against children or minors or person of unsound mind, and also related to rights affecting of third party also will not come under this. It also includes international mediation and domestic mediation, and the time period is 180 days, and if the parties wish, another 180 days can be extended, and one of the party can withdraw after 2 sessions of mediation, and if the court is conducting the mediation, it has to be under the rules framed by Supreme Court and the High Court, and the Parliament has the authority to amend the list of cases involved and not involved under the mediation, and the parties can choose a mediator, and they can also replace a mediator. What is the Mediation Council of India? The central government will establish the Mediation Council of India. The council will consist of chairperson, 2 full-time members with experience in mediation, 3 ex officio members including law secretary and the expenditure secretary, and a part-time member from an industry body. I am repeating, the council will consist of a chairperson, 2 full-time members who has the experience in terms of mediation, 3 ex officio members including law secretary and expenditure secretary, and a part-time member from an industry body. What is the council? What are the functions of council? Registration of mediators, recognizing mediation service providers and mediation institutes. These mediation institutes only will train, educate and certify the mediators. Okay, next. Parliamentary Consultative Committee. So, what is a Parliamentary Consultative Committee is? The Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Monday gave a presentation on the Agnipath scheme of recruitment to the armed forces to the Parliamentary Consultative Committee. Recruitment to armed forces to the Parliamentary Consultative Committee. What is this? So, these committees are constituted by the Ministry of Parliament Affairs. This is one important point. Who constitute the Parliamentary Consultative Committees? Ministry of Parliament Affairs, and constituted after the new Lok Sabha is constituted. When they are formed is after the first session, new Lok Sabha is constituted. This implies that these committees stand dissolved upon the dissolution of every Lok Sabha and reconstituted upon the. So, do you understand? They don't have a proper tenure. Their tenure depends upon the tenure of Lok Sabha, new Lok Sabha. That is what is the important point. The composition includes the functions. The composition is based on the Functions and procedures. These consist of both the houses of parliament. It is not that only Lok Sabha's members are present, Rajya Sabha's members are present, not like that. Both the members are present. However, the membership of this committee is voluntary. It is left to the choices of member and leaders of the parties. Maximum membership of a committee is 30. 30 members should be there, and minimum of 10 members will be there in each committee. So what are the functions? These will be attached to various ministries and departments. Okay, for each ministries and departments, there will be a consultative committee. So minister or minister of state in charge of the ministry is the chairman of the consultative committee of that particular ministry. So they have an informal discussion. What is their function is they have an informal discussion between the ministers and members of parliament on policies and programs of government. It's an informal discussion forum, that is very, very important. Okay, they are not parliamentary committees. They are just consultative committees. That is why they are called as informal discussions. Okay, so parliamentary committee is one which is elected, which is appointed or elected by the house or nominated by the speaker or chairman. Only then it is called as the parliamentary committee. But parliamentary consultative committees are voluntary. Okay, it works under the direction or chairman. Which one? The parliamentary committee. But the parliamentary consultative committees work under the function of that particular department's minister. Okay. Present its report to the house or to the speaker of chairman, has a secretary provided by the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Next, chief election commissioner. The AIADMK's deposed coordinator O. Pannirselvam has lodged a complaint with Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, terming the July 11 meetings of the party's General Council totally unauthorized, have been held in contravention of the party bylaws. So this is what the complaint given by the deposed coordinator of AIADMK's O. Pannirselvam. Who is the Chief Election Commissioner? The Chief Election Commissioner of India is the Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India is a constitutional body. They conduct the election of President, Vice President, MPs, MLAs and MLCs, member of legislative councils, also conducted by them only. The power of Election Commission of India is derived from Article 324 of Indian Constitution. Okay, and Chief Election Commission of India is usually member of Indian Civil Service and mostly, not necessarily from Indian Administrative Service, but not compulsory. Mostly by convention, mostly it's an Indian Administrative Service officer. So tenure is the Chief Election Commissioner. Another election commissioner hold office for 6 years or till they attain the age of 65 years, and they can resign at any time by addressing the resignation to the president. Removal is very difficult to remove the authority of Chief Election Commissioner once appointed by the president, because they work under the pressure of president. 2/3 of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha need to present and vote against him for disorderly conduct or improper actions. Till now, nothing, no impeachment of Chief Election Commissioner has taken place. Okay, yes. Next topic, monsoon session of Parliament. This is the last topic today. So, monsoon session of Parliament is the government has called an all-party meeting on Sunday ahead of monsoon session of Parliament. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu. We know that Vice President is the Rajya Sabha Chairman. That is why Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu will be the meeting, will be the chairman of Rajya Sabha. So these people have called for the pre-monsoon meeting. So what Constitution says? Article 85 requires that there should not be a gap of more than 6 months between two sessions of Parliament. This is very, very important. So the Parliament has not mentioned that these many number of days has to be there for Parliament. That has not been mentioned. But one thing Parliament has mentioned, that the gap between two parliamentary sessions should not be more than 6 months. The Constitution does not specify when or how many days of Parliament should meet. The maximum gap cannot be more than 6 months only has been mentioned. which means that the parliament should meet at least twice a year. But usually the session is 3 sessions are there: budget session, monsoon session, and winter session. Why is parliamentary session very important? Law making is dependent only on parliament. That is, if the parliament does not meet, law making will not take place. Many bills will be there remaining dormant, and it will affect the functions of our country. So also thorough scrutiny of government's functioning and deliberation on national issues can only take place when the two houses are in session. Predictability in the function of parliament is a key to the well functioning of democracy. Parliament is one of the very important concepts when it comes to democracy. Who shall convene a session? In practice, Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs, comprising senior ministers, decides on the dates of Parliament sitting, and it is conveyed to President. Then the President will call for the session of Parliament. Okay, so the executive, headed by the Prime Minister, which sees the business to be taken up by the Parliament, will have the power to advise the President to summon the legislature. So the Cabinet Committee on Parliament Affairs decides the date. This is a very important point. Who decides the date of the Parliament sitting is Cabinet Committee on Parliament Affairs. So they will convey to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister will advise the President. The Prime Minister along with the Cabinet advise the President to summon the legislature. Once the President summons the legislature, then the Parliament will come into session. Okay, so this is all about polity current affairs of July 2nd week. If any doubts, kindly can ask in this comment section. I'll be happy to reply. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next class.